Hey, welcome to the Hive of This podcast. I'm your host, Daniel Martinez. Today we have special guest, Mr. Brent Bowers, who is another fellow land investor. We love talking to land investors. Tell us what part of the country you're from, and let's start with that first question.
Yeah, I'm in South Florida. It's super hot here right now, so we're suffering. But kids went back to school today.
Man, mine start next week, and this is my first one going to school, so this is kind of on edge a little bit for me and my wife. But I'm excited for it.
It'll be all right.
It'll be all right. Yeah, I'm kind of like going to take the other one too. But it's fun. It's fun. I'm excited about. I think the children growing up, and it's always a cool experience. And fatherhood changed my life, so it's kind of a cool experience.
It's a good time.
It's a good time for sure. So, how long have you been doing real estate, and how long have you been doing land?
Yeah, man, I started in 2007 the first time. And then quit in 2009 and then started back up again in 2013. So I guess since like 2013, really 10 years now, the second time. But I failed big time the first time. I had to join the military to kind of reset my life. Wow. So I was in the military for about 8.5 years. And then I just had that calling back to entrepreneurship, real estate, and really, I was tired of being away from home all the time. So I needed a change, and I found land.
Do you mind going into detail what happened the first time? I mean, it was 2007, so I'm guessing I kind of guess what happened, but no one really knows. Everybody has their kind of different story. And I think a second part about it is thank for your service, but I think the military is a great like retransitioning point to like realign your life as a whole. I think it's a great like little transition.
Yeah, it definitely helped me. I, got a heck of an education, got my bachelor's degree, started as an E1, went to E5 to become a non-commissioned officer, and then transferred over to the commissioned officer side of the world. So, I did quite a bit in 8.5 years and was really excelling. But the main thing is like the hardest thing for me was I'm sick of always being away from home. And these days are like 13, 14-hour days. So I wanted to be, with my family. So, as far as what happened in 2009 when I quit, I bought that first rental property in 2007, right after I got my real estate license. And right after I bought that rental property, what's that?
No, I'm just saying that's crazy. You bought your first rental property in 2007.
Yeah. 100% loan. The house was worth $124,000. I bought it for $124,000, and the loan was $124,000. And then I got married right after that, and then we rented that house out, and we moved to the coast to do real estate. And within about 6 months, I was flat broke and like couldn't afford rent anymore. So I had to, eat dirt with my landlord, say, look, I can't pay you next month. Please let me out of this lease. And they did. And then slapped a judgment on me for the rest of the year that I owed them. So it was just like snowball effect. So I'm like asking my in-laws, can we move into your 900 square foot house, your 2.5 bedroom house? Or really, we call it, it was really a 2-bedroom house, but we cut one of the bedrooms in half for me and my wife and dog to sleep in, and all shared one bathroom. So it was like, going backwards in life. So I was like, I need a reset. So I ended up trying to join the Air Force. They wouldn't take me. So luckily the Air Force recruiter was kind enough to coach me a little bit and say, go to the Army. They'll take anybody. So I did.
That's funny, man. That's crazy. And I think your like down to zero moment has like trajected you to whole new heights. 100%. It's weird how like going to zero, especially as an adult after maybe you're married or have your first kid, going to zero, man, it forces you to like become a whole new version of yourself that you wouldn't even think was possible. Yeah. Like you can look back at yourself at that time. You're like, man, that was crazy, but man, that really set up my life to something great and amazing.
No, that's a good explanation. You're so right, because it's like, I got through that. We got through that. And then guess what? Other things happen in life. It's never, this too shall pass. You can always get through any challenge, and we're guaranteed these challenges. If all of us would just get out of bed every morning and say, thank you, God, today for giving me the armor to deal with the challenges that I'm going to get today, I think it would change our all of everyone's lives.
Yeah, I literally tweeted last night. I said that failure is what molds people to success.
Yeah, there you go.
So started land investing back in 2013 when you had that reset. After that reset,
This show is sponsored by HiveMind CRM. It is more than just a CRM. It is a real estate and business mastermind that comes with an all-in-one CRM. You can have unlimited websites and users. You can call, text, RVM, and email all in one user interface. And you can set up custom automations for any type and multiple businesses. 65% of companies start using a CRM system within the first 5 years of business. Once implemented, the HiveMind will save you on marketing, give you more time, and make more money. One of our users had his first $100,000 month using our system in June. We want to see you automate and accelerate your business. Text us at 210-972-1842 for future meetings and, of course, to get our $1 course on how to make more than 6 figures on one land deal. You can schedule your free demo today at hivemindcrm.io.
what is like a lot of people like don't invest in land because it doesn't cash flow and it doesn't do all these things. Like
I love that.
I tell people this all the time. This is my quote: is like a lot of people don't invest in land because it doesn't cash flow, and I say I like it because it doesn't cash flow.
Yeah.
It's like it creates its own motivation.
Yeah, it's a huge myth. And that's why there's virtually no competition in this business. I actually started in 2013. I got back into houses. I started buying rentals, and then I started wholesaling houses to pay for college classes and also get out of debt from those rentals. And then when it was nice until it stopped working, the wholesaling houses, because I moved to Colorado Springs, me and my family, or me and my wife at the time, we didn't have kids yet. And then like something happened, like everyone got into house wholesaling. Like it was like, this new phenomenon, and my mailer stopped working. And then I would send out a bunch of mailers for houses in 2015 timeframe. And like, it was like crickets. And then guess what? When the calls would start, as soon as I would go on like a training or a field exploration, and I can't have my cell phone. So we would literally waste the money. So I went in debt again, and I was searching for answers early 2016 and heard on a podcast just like this, a guy talking about flipping land and doubling his money. And I'm like, if half of what he's said is true, on board with that. And I'm getting out of the military.
So let's dive into this a little bit. So you've actually done both. I've been 100% land. I mean, I literally, my only house deal was I seller financed my house. My original house I got through my own financing. So I was like sub-2 my own house. But my first house, exactly. But you've done both. So let's go down that houses versus land topic.
Oh yeah.
This is going to be fun because a lot of people, they're like, everybody invest in houses and rentals, and doctors and lawyers, they always think it's like, oh, I'm going to go buy rentals. I want 50 doors and 100 doors. And like all the door metric is just a vanity metric that like, how much do you really cash flow off each door? And is it really worth the risk and management and all that stuff? So you've done both.
Yeah.
Let's kind of jump down a few of these things: cash flow, flips, houses versus land. Let's dig into this because I think a lot of people need to hear this. And I think a lot of people go straight into houses because that's where the most information is.
Yeah, and that's what's glamorized. We got HGTV and all these things. And I'll tell you, I got caught up in that house flipping too because it was like sexy and I wanted to build my ego. And I had just got out of the military too, so I had a lot of time. And the land was actually supporting all this, looking back at financials and balance sheets and, listening to a smart accountant. So, and I didn't always have that, but going to, houses versus land, I still have a lot of these rentals and I can't sell them because if I do, I'll get hit so hard with taxes because I've been doing what's called cost segregation and depreciation on this. So it's like I'm kicking the tax burden down the road. The only thing I could do is sell these things. If I did sell them, I need to buy a bigger, more expensive property and hopefully bring in more cash flow. But we basically break even on our houses until something breaks. Then we lose money. But I've got one house and the rent's like $1,000 a month. The mortgage is $700. Pretty good, right? 7, 8, 9, 10. Everyone's like, oh, I got $300 a month cash flow. I'm doing really well. No, you're actually sucking because in this one house, unless the house is brand new, then you probably got about 10 years and you're good. But like houses are like apples. The second they touch the ground, they hit the ground, something eats them or they rot. So that's why the government gives us these incentives, the IRS, to depreciate these properties. But in the last 45 days on one of these rental properties, the one I'm getting $1,000 a month for, I pay $700 a month for the mortgage. I got like a 3% interest rate. Great, right? Really good. Well, there's a property manager and she keeps 100 of that. So really I'm only cash flowing 200. Well, in the last 45 days, the furnace went out. I'm sorry. Then this was, I shouldn't say the furnace went out. The air conditioner went out. The sewer line messed up and clogged, and we had to replace that. That sewer line was $7,500. The furnace, or I'm sorry, the air conditioner was $5,500, and also we had to put gutters on the house too because the house was starting to settle because the water was running back. We call that a negative grade. So this house, if nothing ever breaks again, I might start getting a positive cash flow in about 8.5 years.
Awesome.
That's terrible.
Sounds amazing. So one thing that I love about like the house land conversation is that like when you buy land, you're literally buying it at the bottom. Like everybody's like, oh, you like in stocks, you didn't buy it at the bottom. I bought it at the bottom. I bought it at the bottom. Land, you buy at the bottom every time.
Yeah,
it can only be improved. So let's go down the land game.
All right, you want to hear a land deal? One we just recently did, and I love that you're a land investor too, Daniel. I'm in good company. There's not a lot of the smart guys. I'm just kidding. There's not a lot of guys like that out there. But I mean, the reason why I'm in land is because I'm just a simple dude. Like, I don't like all the moving parts. Like, I was in the Army. We're knuckle draggers. You know, I wasn't smart enough to go in the Air Force. But let's compare a land deal that I did recently. I bought it for $40,000. And it took a little while to buy this parcel of land because the seller, his husband died. So they were going through probate. So what did that give me? It gave me 6 months to find my buyer. So we're advertising for a buyer. The seller's cool with it because we told her we were going to do it, or we asked her if it was okay. What's that?
That sounds terrible. 6 months to find a buyer?
Yeah.
I don't know
6 months. We did. We found one for $90,000 because that's what we were advertising it for. And we were offering $5,000 down and a monthly payment of $946 a month. So where did I get the $40,000 to buy the land? Well, my mother-in-law's got some cash that she's not earning any interest on. So she wanted to earn some interest and have her funds secured by land at less than 60 cents on the dollar. So she's safe. So we never touched her money. She wired it to the title insurance company. We got her a lender's insurance policy. She's in the first lien holder position. So if I don't pay her, she takes the land and the buyer. And that would be an awkward Thanksgiving dinner this year. But we have the buyer at $90,000. We get $5,000 down at the day we close on it. So I made money immediate with land. Immediately, was profitable. Immediately, I was profitable, and I'll be profitable forever. So my mother-in-law's payment is $800 a month at 9% interest, and she'll be paid off in 5 years, 60 months. My buyer's paying me for a little over 13.9 years. So the difference of $946 a month and $800 is only $146 a month. So all the house guys have said, see, I get $300 a month net. You're only getting $146, you loser. Well, nothing's going to break on that land for 5 years because there's nothing to break. And I'm keeping the difference of that for 5 years, 60 months. That's like almost $7,000 or something like that. And at the end, when my mother-in-law's paid off, I still got many, many years left to get that $946 now I keep in my pocket every single month. So do the math. That's over $100,000, and I'm getting monthly payments for the next almost 14 years.
I was trying to do the math as far as what your ROI was if it was your capital, but since it was your mother-in-law's capital, you get a technically infinite return. But if it was your capital, it would probably be like a 30% return.
Well, you know why I didn't use my $40,000? Because I spent the money somewhere else. I had the funds in an account to buy that land. And guess what? When we're investors, there's always another deal tomorrow. So I spent that money, and finally it's time to close. And I was like, oh crap, what am I going to do? So I called my mother-in-law. I was like, hey, did you still have some money you wanted to invest? And she said, yeah. I said, can we get it here in the next week and a half? Wire it to the title company. So we walked her through it, and it was done. And they're making $800 a month. And here's where you got to be really good. I use a company called Bill.com to pay my lenders and my vendors. And guess what? Bill.com was paying my in-laws late. And I found out it was 3 late payments. So I sent them $150, $50 each. And that's my mother-in-law. But like those things happen. So now we send the payment on the 20th. So it makes it into their account on the 1st. So there's one of the challenges. Make sure you pay your lenders on time. And if you don't, pay that late fee.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, one thing that's cool is that just that small deal, can yield such a high ROI. And it's not even your money. If you can raise the money, or even if you use your own money, it's still a good ROI.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, like, the net cash flow without the headache is worth it.
Yeah. It's so worth it. Now, here's another thing we could have done with that seller. She now got $40,000, and I'm sure that money's gone.
Yeah.
And we've seen sellers get that cash, and then one of their children take it from them. Mm-hmm. So the best thing we could have done for that seller was offer her financing. Mrs. Seller, what if we gave you monthly payments and we paid you off over the next 13 years, at 9% interest? Now she gets a payment, we get a payment. We could have basically gave that seller a monthly payment, and then we sold it to our buyer. We got a down payment. She would get a down payment. So let's just say our buyer gave us $5,000 down, which he did. We gave that seller $2,500 down. Now that seller gets $500 a month. We get $946 a month. We could have still done the same thing with the seller's money, because a lot of people listening to this might think, well, I don't have like 40,000, and I don't know anybody that has 40,000. I used to think the same thing, by the way. And also, I've done land deals where the lender only had 13,000, and I thought that's all she had. So I've done smaller deals, and then she comes back to me like a year later and says, I have 65,000 more that I'd like for you. Like, there's always more.
Yeah. So land, cash flow, and this is where, like, land doesn't cash flow. You have to make it cash flow. You become the bank, position yourself as the bank. Houses, there's always expenses that come out. And this is, with land, it's net cash flow straight with no hiccups or hangups. And a house cash flow always comes with a string attached.
Yep, absolutely.
I think it's a great point. I like land because one of our earlier deals we did early on was we got $40,000 lot. We got it for $8,000, and we sold it for $8,000 down, $500 a month.
Oh my God! Let me hit the victory bell for you. There you go. I love that, man. That's amazing. Are you still getting paid on that?
Yes. So
wow.
There's a lot of opportunity out there, and like how many $35,000, $45,000 lots are out there?
A lot. There's more $35,000 lots out there than there are houses and mobile home parks and multifamily put together.
Yep. I always say this is like land has it's the largest asset class that nobody touches.
Yeah, because they don't see a way to make money with it. Like, I used to drive by it every day, and there's many, many ways to make money. My dad has 10 acres of swampland. Mm-hmm. He rents it out every year for $6,000 in advance.
Really?
Because there's a lot of deer and turkey that come through there, and hogs. Woo. And guess what that 10 acres is surrounded by? South Florida Water Management owns all around it. So really, he's got like 400 acres to hunt on. Well, now you're technically trespassing if you walk off the land, but you can hunt the perimeter of it. Well, still you're technically trespassing, but you're surrounded by basically Bureau of Land Management, in other words.
Yeah, so let's talk about ways to create cash flow. I think that's a good topic. You kind of went into a hunting lease. What's other ways to create cash flow off of land that a lot of people don't realize or even know how to do?
I had 14 acres, and I finally sold that land. But the most of the time I owned it, I rented it out. I rented out the pasture for cattle, and I made money that way. Finally, I sold it for $29,000 down, and my payment was $666 a month, and I sold it on a 30-year mortgage. I bought it for $75,000, and that seller financed me at 0% interest, and he wanted $30,000 down. Where did I get the $30,000? I got it from my buyer.
Yep.
And then I basically did an arbitrage. The seller had the first lien position. I had the second lien.
Yep.
So I gave my buyer a 30-year mortgage, and he paid that mortgage for roughly a little over 36 months, 3 years, and then they sold it. That loan went from $128,900 over that 36 months down to $124,000. Like that math doesn't work out, right? I collected over 22,000 in payments, and the loan only went down $4,000.
Yep.
I didn't do anything. Like I didn't create that. The banks did. Actually FDR, Franklin Delano Roosevelt created that. The FDR loans, the 30-year mortgage. But the first 7 years of a 30-year mortgage is pretty much all front end loaded interest.
Yep.
So I hope they go at least 7 years and don't pay me off. And if they do, I just get my profit sooner and I move it to the next one.
So I actually did a breakdown on Twitter, and what's cool about interest, and I don't know if you know this, I actually did the math because I was curious of where it is, and all these Dave Ramsey fans are like, oh, pay your mortgage off early, pay your mortgage off early. It actually increases the interest rate you pay by paying early.
Wow, really?
Yes, it does. So let's say you have a 10% interest loan. That 10% interest loan is across 30 years. So if they go day one to month 1 to month 360, that's a full 10% amortized interest loan. If they pay that at any point sooner, the rate the lender gets goes up because they're paying back sooner, because the ROI you actually receive is when you get paid back.
Interesting.
So if they go month 1 to month 360, that's a 10% ROI. But if they pay that back in 3 years, you might have got like a 15 or 12% ROI.
Oh yeah, velocity of money. Yeah, and there's a great book called Investing in Paper.
Invest in Debt by Jimmy Napier.
There you go. Out of Chipley, Florida. He's no longer with us, but Invest in Debt. Yeah, I learned that in that book.
Yep. So I actually did the numbers on it, and it's crazy because like yeah, you pay less interest, but you accelerate your ROI that you're paying, or your interest that you're paying.
Yeah.
As a borrower, and then you as a lender, you actually get a higher ROA because of the acceleration of capital.
Yeah, you get it back faster. Velocity of money. Yeah, so I love it when they pay back. You know, the sweet spot, I feel like for me, my opinion is like within like 3 years.
Mm-hmm. And this is where like you can do a full 30-year AMs, or do you do any balloons at all to kind of?
No, I've never done a balloon because I just don't want to set a buyer up for failure, because, you know, I've done a lot of I shouldn't say a lot. I've done 5 houses now where I sold a lease with the option to buy.
Yep.
And I have had to extend all 5 of those leases because no one ever made it during that option time. And it's like, I don't want to set up a buyer for failure. I want them to ultimately take ownership of that land.
100%. And this is where like, I think it's, and we have every right to like repossess or foreclose on that property and take it back. But I think the all in all goal is like, even with houses or land, I want them to own it. I really do. Like my position in the marketplace is I'm providing unobtainable land, and I'm offering seller financing to make it ease, but I do want them to own it. I don't want to take it back if I don't have to. I want them to own it.
And you know, there's another deal that you can get tomorrow. Like 100%. You don't need this land back. You know, if anything, I have too much land right now. You know, I've got my office going through our list because we bought a bunch of land. Like we got a little crazy with it, and we were in between sales guys, and now we're not sure if this one was sold or this parcel was sold because our Excel document got messed up. But we're about to unload a bunch of land because we've been sitting on it for a while. So if anything, I have too much inventory. So I don't want to take this stuff back. If they're paying, you know, $300 a month and they get behind, if $150 a month is better for them, we will we'll do a loan modification, no charge, and put that amount they owe on the back end and reset it. Like, because at the end of the day, I want to keep those payers paying and happy. Those are my customers. Those are like, I'm doing air quotes, those are my residents or my tenants.
Yeah. And it's different with land, but yeah, you want them to own it. And for whatever reason they wanted to buy it and they put the down payment down, like, let's keep them in the property and keep them paying. And I think it's cool that you do it loan mods with them if they need to restructure the loan. Because I think a lot of people are sharks. I'm playing on words. They're sharks in this
I love it.
Game.
See that?
They're sharks in the business game, and you really don't have to be. There's so much opportunity out there, and there's always another, like I said, there's always another opportunity for another deal. And I think us in the land game, we know how much opportunity there is, so we're not necessarily stuck on that one deal. Whereas house people are like, I need to make money on this deal, or else I'm never going to do deal speed again. And it's just always like the doom and gloom of houses.
Yeah. Yep, absolutely. And I found that if you treat every person you're dealing with and negotiating with and doing business with or talking to like they are someone else's entire world, it changes everything.
Yeah.
Just knowing that person, they mean the world to someone else. So like, just treat them like that.
So let's talk about a little bit. What markets are you in? What markets are you buying? You're buying and hold. Where can people, if they want to buy land, where can they go?
Yeah.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah. So right now I'm really heavily in Florida. I just fell into Utah on accident. I got a
Okay.
Utah deal going on right now. I started this in Colorado when I was stationed at Fort Carson, Colorado, and Colorado Springs. Then moved to Florida because that's where my dad was. Old Pops, he's turning 61 years old tomorrow. I mean, he's done about 50 land deals.
Awesome.
He's done manual labor his entire life. Like, land is the best investment strategy. It's the lowest barrier of entry. It's not like buying houses, and God forbid all the world goes to heck. Land is not going anywhere. Like, you can farm it, you can ranch, or you can put cows on it, you can live on it, you can build on it, you can dig the dirt out of it and create a pond and put fish in it. Like, there's so many things you can do with it. But as far as the places, I'm really heavily invested in Florida. And how can people find land for sale right now? There's a plethora of websites out there. We got like land.com, land watch. Heck, you can go on my website, vacantlandofthefree.com, which I need to update. But I'm now using real estate agents to sell all of our land. I'm done selling it myself. That's a lot of work, a lot of work. And I can't believe, like, sometimes I think I'm so dumb. It took me years to figure out I just need to go a little bit more expensive land so these real estate agents will sell it. If they don't go out there and hunt and kill, they don't eat. Yep. So I was able to get rid of, which I will say, I was able to get rid of a couple virtual assistants that were just dead weight on my team. And I no longer have to employ a full-time salesperson. So my team has shrank. We rented out the office. We now all work from home, and I've got a very small team. But as far as how to find land for sale, you want to get down into the mechanical details, like the step-by-step?
Yeah, I mean, I was more of like what you had for sale and like how you move your inventory, but we can go down to like how you market. If you're still direct mail, because I don't know, but let's talk about how you market. 100%.
Do I do direct mail? I'll tell you what, it's the best marketing strategy I've ever found. I send out what I call LOLs, land offer letters, or we call them laugh out loud, because we just got a smoking hot land deal. If anybody wants a copy of that, I've been triple split testing this land offer letter against postcards, against like things that look like checks, and these LOLs are outperforming the other two put together. Go to the landsharks.com/LOL, and I'm going to ask you for a little bit of information, and then we will email it over to you. That's the landsharks.com/LOL. or land offer letter. But that's what we're sending the people to buy their land. These things come back signed. How do I find the areas I want to invest in? I just go on Zillow and Redfin and I see where the land's selling. And and then I use PropStream to pull a list of those landowners, and I send them out an offer letter.
On accident. No, and a lot of people, like, you might overcomplicate that. And I'm really glad your dad's doing this too. That's amazing. My dad worked construction for 30 years. He recently passed, but it's one of those things where like I hope I was getting into real estate. But
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, it's cool, man. I think I had interviewed a guy not last episode, but I interviewed a guy recently, like last week, that he hired his dad, and his dad works in his operations now. So I'm like, it's really cool to kind of get back to your family and bring a little nepotism into business. Why not?
Yeah, absolutely. Nepotism. I learned what that meant on The Office. Like, I was like, I'm learning new words here watching this TV show. Nepotism.
No, it's awesome. So tell me a little bit about so you're doing your LOL offer. Is that 100% your marketing strategy, that you only do that?
Now, I'll send some postcards too. My dad likes the postcards a lot more because it doesn't take the work up front. So the land offer letter is a little work up front, but not as much in the back. Marketing is what we call detracting the people that we don't want to speak to, and attracting the people we want to speak to. What do I mean by that? Like, I don't want to talk to the people that want a big bag of money for their land.
Yep.
I do want to talk to people that are like, well, he sent us this offer, seems a little low, but what the heck? We'll take it. Sign it, send it back. Like, I don't want to have to be having phone calls. Like, I just bought a piece of land over email. I should say over email. He received one of our land offer letters here in Vero Beach, Florida. Like, this expensive land out here. and we ended up buying it for $15,000, sold it really quickly for $30,000. I had 6 weeks to find my buyer. And I actually didn't make that 6 week mark because it was during the summertime. It's a little slower in Florida out here. But I was like, what the heck? I'll buy it. It's $15,000. And we sold it about a week and a half later for $30,000, or went under contract, I should say. I get paid, I think, in a couple of weeks, I don't know, a week or so on that land deal. But I never spoke to that seller. It was only via email. He sent it back via email, which is like, I can't believe I used to have conversations with these house sellers, like have to talk to them multiple times, go sit on their couch, throw my shoes away when I left because I just walked through, dog poop or something like that in their carpet in their living room, and the ceiling's like hanging down, like I'm breathing in this mold and stuff, and it's like I'm just doing this from the comfort of my own home, buying this land. This is a lot easier. It's like buying stocks, but it's tangible.
It's just underpaid therapist sometimes too.
Oh my gosh. I was definitely a therapist when I was trying to buy people's houses at discounts. And you kind of imagine, like, they raised their family in this house for like 18 years and they bought it and they never painted it or replaced the carpets. But they're always told, like, their house is the biggest investment. Well, what do investments do? They're supposed to go up in value, right? So they should earn, more than what they paid for that house 25 years ago, right?
Yeah, the house game. I hope everybody ever listens to this episode, because like I always try to tell people about houses. I mean, about land, and people just look at me sideways and like, oh, you probably invest in desert squares. And I'm like, yeah, no, we don't. And I try and stay away from the desert. I'm looking for where people want to be, valuable land that people own, that doesn't generate money. It's just paying a tax burden, and they're ready to get rid of it, and it's no negotiation.
Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with desert squares. I bought a bunch of them and we sold a lot of them. We bought like 120 of those things for like $300 a month and sold most of them, and keyword most of them. I got tired of selling them for about $4,400 each. And I still have about 20 of those left. If anybody wants some land in Apache, Arizona, call me. I'll make you a smoking hot deal.
Man, see, I try and stay away from those. Like I where we were at is like we try and set like a minimum value. Like we don't mess with nothing under 50 grand, and it's just I don't want to do nothing under there.
But I was just starting out. I had no clue what I was doing, so I was like, I've got $391, and I'll trade $391 for $4,400 all day long. So that was just what gave me my start.
Oh yeah, you got to start somewhere, and you learn a lot. You learned a lot.
Literally, I learned a lot. No pun intended.
That's so funny. Where can people find you online? I really appreciate you coming on this episode and providing some land house education here, and hopefully people at least endeavor and dip their toes into the land game, because it's one of those things that I think a lot of people that they get stuck in their little rut. Like there's house flippers that have been doing houses for 20 years and they do 200 house flips a year, and like they don't even look at any other opportunity. I think it's kind of pointless, but I think you should keep your eyes open for other opportunity that may be less work and less effort.
Yeah. They're too busy flipping houses and making sure the contractors aren't stealing stuff and getting ripped off, and they got to watch the security cameras at nighttime. It got so bad we had to put cameras on the houses and security systems. I was like, this is nuts. Like, no way. But as far as where can people find me, I'm all over, the socials. Brent L. And that, yes, the L stands for land. Brent L. Bowers 1 on most of my socials. I'm on YouTube and TikTok, and pretty much do a TikTok video every day on how to make money in land. So follow me on TikTok.
Brent L. Bowers, land. You're like, I'm gonna own that. I'm gonna own that trademark, Brent Land Bowers.
That's right. The land man.
The land man. No, there's plenty of opportunity here. Don't be afraid of, just learn, do your first deal, whether it's big or small, and learn through the pain, or find a mentor, and you'll learn a lot really quickly, and you don't necessarily have to be the best at it and still make money.
Yeah, you can make a lot of mistakes and still make money in this business, because that's why I buy it at such big discounts. Like the land I'm buying in Utah right now, I don't know if we have time for that, but I almost made a huge mistake. I thought it would sell for about $1 million, and my first offer was $550,000. He accepted it, and he was going to sell or finance it to me. And then he came back and said, my wife doesn't want to sell or finance, but we'll lower the price to $375,000. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm stealing this land. I felt bad. I was like, what do I do? And I finally got a hold of my land specialist realtor out there, and he goes, man, like, I've got bad news for you. This side, you might be able to sell for about 550,000, but a stone's throw away, they're going for $1 million. And I'm going off of $1 million number, not 550,000. So I had to go back and renegotiate again for 525. Well, he just came back to me for 535. I got to send him the addendum. I will take it at 535. But it's like, that was a lot of back and forth. And, you can make mistakes very easily in this business.
100%. 100%. Well, one more question. What is a quote that is yours or somebody else's that you resonate with?
Oh man, there's so many quotes. I was not expecting that. Jeez.
Gotcha.
I would just say, I'm gonna tell you my own quote because I took it from, like, you always hear that, take massive and perfect action. I think that came from like Tom Kroll, and he probably got it from somebody. But I like to say, I added to it, make massive and perfect violent action every single day.
There you go. This is a good episode. Thanks for coming in, Brent. For everybody here, go like, share, subscribe. We'll see you on the next episode. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you. Have a good day, guys. Bye.
Hey, guys. If you would like to receive hot leads right to your cell phone in a text message, check out hiveleads.io, and you can receive the same leads we've been receiving in our campaign for 3.5 years that's made us successful in the land game. Check us out.